Yay. Y'all know who this is. And that's right, we're getting ready to take a trip. As you are locked in the zone with yours truly, Anthony Smith. This is that other podcast that, bar none, is one of the best podcasts that you can ever lay your ears on, as I come with some good content. As we get ready to get things started, it is officially July the 11th. And in 8 more days, I'll be 57 years old. And my podcast is like a bottle of fine wine. It just keeps getting better with time. And it's all because of you, the listeners, and sometimes the occasional guest. But let's dive into some stories, because Paul George, who is now a Philadelphia 76er, has also spoken. And I would tend to believe that he's already missing the West Coast. But hey, you know, business is business. And sometimes people express their feelings. And Paul George says Klay Thompson probably would have stayed if Warriors trade had happened. So as the final days of the Paul George era in Los Angeles drew near, ahead of the start of the 2024 NBA free agency, one team remained in the thick of the conversation regarding a potential trade for the 9-time All-Star, the Golden State Warriors. As we now know, the Warriors could not strike a deal with the Los Angeles Clippers for a potential sign and trade to acquire George. But just how close was it to happening? Well, let's just dive in and see just how close they were. According to George, the deal was close to being done. Even more than that, it seems the 34-year-old was under the impression that a trade would have also resulted in Klay Thompson likely remaining in Golden State. Now imagine that. Paul George, Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, Draymond Green. Now let that sink in and think on that. Imagine the dynamics of that team right there. And if they still keep some key pieces that come off the bench. Man, that's scary just thinking about that. I bet the West is saying, we're glad that's not going to happen. During the latest episode of Podcast P with Paul George, George discussed the topic and was an open book while revealing what he had been told. That was a real thing that was close to being done. That deal was close to being done from what I was being told on the situation. They was expressing just how much they wanted me there. How I could have fit in perfectly with Draymond Green, Steph Curry. Klay Thompson probably would have stayed. Brandon Podziemski, Jonathan Kuminga, Andrew Wiggins, George said. They didn't know how or what package was going to be there to trade for me. Kevon Looney was going to be there. And so it was very intriguing, and it was still an opportunity to stay close to home, stay on the West Coast. And it was a win-win. I think Steph is a unicorn, one player, and Joel's a unicorn. So it was kind of like a good situation to be in the middle of. But ultimately, the deal didn't go through. I think the Clippers didn't want a certain trade deal that the Warriors were willing to give. And yeah, it just didn't happen. But it was close. It been dope, man. I was looking forward to it if it happened. It's noteworthy that there was belief that Thompson would have remained with the Warriors had a deal worked out. It seems Golden State may have had a plan to make it all come together if a trade for George panned out. George ended up signing a max deal with the Philadelphia 76ers, which will pair him with Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey as one of the league's best trio. Thompson chose to join the Dallas Mavericks, doing so via sign and trade, and the Warriors just narrowly missed out on an opportunity to put together an impressive core. While George was surely intrigued by the idea of remaining out west, it's hard to argue that there's a better situation than the one he's in, as the 76ers instantly become one of the favorites to push the Boston Celtics in the Eastern Conference. Not to mention the fact that they also picked up Caleb Martin, who has had some playoff success with the Miami Heat. And I'm pretty sure they're going to pencil him in as a starter. So just right offhand, looking at Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey, Paul George, Caleb Martin. They re-signed Kelly Oubre Jr. He's back with the team. This Philadelphia team, the way things are looking for them during free agency during the offseason, one would almost have to say it's either championship or bust. That's the way I look at it. Championship or bust. Can they pull it off? But there's also more to this. When you look at how things went down, Paul George was right to call the Clippers bluff in contract negotiations. Paul George left the Los Angeles Clippers after agreeing to a 4-year, $211 million deal with the Philadelphia 76ers. Before leaving Los Angeles, the veteran forward was reportedly in negotiations over a potential contract extension. During a recent episode of Podcast P with Paul George, the All-Star forward revealed the Clippers wanted him to retire with the franchise. Just to put it out there, I never want to leave L.A., George said. I presented the 3 years, $150 million, no trade clause, because in the meeting they're like, we want you here long term. I'm like, cool. Give me the 3 years, $150 million, no trade. But they didn't want to do the no trade. Through the negotiations, they wasn't budging. I wasn't going to budge. At that point, it didn't feel right to come back with their type of energy. As a matter of fact,
what was the negotiations like with the Clippers to let you know that, hey, I'm leaving y'all and I'm going to Philly?
Just to put it out there, like, I never wanted to leave LA. LA is home. This is where I wanted to finish at. I wanted to work as hard as possible to win one in LA. Like, that was the goal, to be here and be committed to LA. As it played out, though, like, the first initial deal was, I thought, kind of disrespectful, right? And again, in all of this, no hard feelings. So the first initial deal was like 2 years, 60. So I'm like, whoa.
Hey, that's crazy, bro. That's crazy.
That's crazy.
That's crazy.
So I'm like,
wow.
No, I'm not signing that. This was maybe like October-ish. Negotiations first started, and it was 260. And as we kept going, it was like, they would go up, inches, to where it was like 44, 45, right? But this was like a couple months in between before we got it to 40-something. I'm still like, nah, I'm not doing that. Then I hear wind of like, what they're going to give Kawhi. So I'm like, just give me what Kawhi got. Like,
right.
Y'all view us the same. Like, we came here together. We want to finish it together. I'll take what Kawhi got. Like, no problem. I was cool with that. Like, wow. And we were still taking less. We were taking less. Wow. Kawhi took less. I was like, if Kawhi gonna take less, I'm not gonna say I want more than Kawhi. Like, I'm not gonna, like, it's not about me being paid more than him. Like, I'm gonna take what he got. Y'all give him that, give me that. They didn't want to do that. So this was before the All-Star break. So I'm like, you know what? I don't want, like, let's not even have no more conversation. Like, let's just play this year out. Cause it was starting to get into like my mood. Now I'm, you know what I mean? Like, I didn't want to have that energy carry over into the team. Season in, I finished healthy, 74 games played, and had one of my most efficient seasons. So now we go into negotiations. Now they bring it to 3 years.
Where we at?
150. All right. That's cool. It sucks that it had to get to this point, like that we couldn't get this figured out a lot sooner. But now we at the end of the year, 3 years, 150. So I'm like, all right, like now we're in a ballpark. You know what I mean? Now we can have conversation here. I presented the 150 no trade, because in the meeting they're like, you know, we want you here long term. We want to, you know, when you're retired, we want you to be a Clippers for a lifetime, like all of this stuff. So I'm like, cool. Give me the 3 years, 150, no trade then. Like, no trade clause. Then I'm taking less, but at least I know I'm here. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm committed to y'all. Like, they didn't want to do the no trade.
Do that.
Wow. So then now I'm like, all right, well then it only makes sense for me to do 4 years, 212, right? Like, at least pay me my money. If y'all gonna trade me, then y'all gonna trade me. But at least, like, now I'm not in a situation where I could have got more had I just gone to free agency, then take this deal, and then y'all could just ship me wherever I want. And then now I'm on this deal that I didn't want. So they didn't want to do that. So then I was like, now I'm open to entertaining what's out there. And then, I mean, you know, through the negotiations, they wasn't budging. They weren't gonna budge. I wasn't gonna budge. I thought I played well enough for them to, you know, be like, you know what, he's a part of our future. Like, I thought I did that. I thought I earned that. You know, granted, we didn't win while I was there, but luck has a lot to do with that. You know, we couldn't remain healthy as a unit. But I thought I did enough to earn that. I love Steve. I love Lawrence. But at that point, it didn't even feel right to come back with that type of energy and be comfortable playing back in LA.
So those were the words of Paul George. So George was right to request a no-trade clause. The last time the Clippers pitched a player on retiring with the franchise, they traded Blake Griffin shortly after signing him to an extension. By adding the no-trade to his contract, George would have been protected from history repeating itself. The Clippers, with Kawhi Leonard and George, were an expensive team as both of its star players continue to age. It's plausible the front office would entertain trade discussions for one of the star forwards. George is in the final stage of his career and needs to maximize his income while he still can. If George didn't believe the Clippers' pitch was trustworthy, he was right to stand his ground in contract negotiations. Ultimately, that led to him leaving the franchise and heading back to the Eastern Conference. Nevertheless, he signed a big contract and is still on a contending team. He might not be in Los Angeles, but George certainly made the most of his free agency. Well, that was the first segment, and we are locked in the zone. Tell you what I am going to do right here. I am going to take a break. And when I come back, I'm going to have some more for you. You're locked in the zone with Anthony. Don't you go nowhere. Don't you dare go nowhere. We'll be right back shortly. Welcome back to In the Zone with Anthony. That's right. This is the other podcast that is in your earbuds, that is in the air everywhere. Thanks to you, my listeners, and the few guests I also have had on here. Like I say about all my podcasts, it couldn't be what it is without you, the listeners, and you, my guest. We're still talking some basketball. Think about it, summertime, we're talking basketball. Well, you know, they play basketball pretty much year-round. I had let me bring it locally close to home. I've had the privilege not too long ago to experience AAU basketball. Where I was at, it was like a basketball buffet. You turn to this court, there's a game. You turn to that court, there's a game. You go another court over, there's a game. Adjacent to that court is another game. It brought out coaches. It brought out players from universities, one from Missouri, one from Wichita State. Shout out to Ronnie DeGray III. Had the chance to meet you. Look forward to one day getting you on my podcast. We're going to make this happen. Anyway, as we're talking basketball, I also want to send some shout outs to some very important people. Coach Kim, or as they call her in Derby, Coach K, Coach Danny Allen. It was good to see y'all out there at the showcase, coaching y'all's team next level up. Y'all got some ballers on y'all team. Y'all doing good this summer. Michaela asked you, why I keep mentioning her name? Because she's the one's name who's going to be in y'all's ear and on y'all's TV screen throughout the years to come. She will be a junior next year at Derby High School. Also, shout out to Maddie Vickery and her mom. Had the chance to meet them. Her mom told me something to this effect. She said, I finally get to put a face because she's seen my tweets and stuff. And to be able to meet Maddie and her mom. And let me tell you something. Maddie Vickery was just a freshman last year. And the quote of the year, they were playing at the state tournament at Wichita State. And after the first quarter, I think they was playing against Heights. Her coach congratulated her, said, congratulations. You were now the team leader in turnovers. And that basically lit a fire up under her and carried her team to a victory over Wichita Heights. But I'll never forget that because she shared that, I believe, on social media. Actually, it was on the news. And that has stuck with me. But great people. The only thing I hate was I didn't get to meet Stephen Vickery, which is her father, who I believe, without having to meet him, just from looking at his post on X, I believe he's a great man, rooted in Christian foundation. So hopefully one of these days I'll get the chance to meet him. I believe he's a great man, has a great family. So shout out to the Vickery family. Getting back into some more basketball talk because the Summer League is going on. And pretty much eyes are on one of the top draft picks. That would be Zach Eddy. As Grizzlies, Zach Eddy gets off to a promising start in his Summer League debut. Grizzlies rookie center Zach Eddy made his presence felt in his first NBA Summer League action. The number 9 overall pick of the 2024 NBA draft had 14 points, 15 rebounds, 4 blocks in a 97-95 loss to the Jazz on Monday night. He set a screen for guard Scottie Pippen Jr. on his 14-foot pull-up jumper 45 seconds into the game that didn't appear on the box score, but it showed what he can do to smaller guards on the offensive end.
Pippen, yes, his father Scottie. Jump shot, good. Little soft touch mid-range.
And you heard the audio from that, but what you didn't see, like you said, was the screen that he set. Eddy, college basketball's National Player of the Year the past 2 seasons, impacted the defensive end moments later with a block on guard Keontae George. And I am also trying to pull up that audio, but it's not letting me, so we're going to move on. He scored his first summer league points running a pick and roll with forward G.G. Jackson II, receiving the ball in the paint and taking his time to go up and get the easy 2 points. So that was the audio from that. Eddy ran the floor well, including on this second quarter sequence when he ran the floor after a Jazz miss and had the lane to himself for an effortless two-hand dunk.
Dylan Wells, there's a lob through the hands of Walker. Inside.
Eddy showed off his elite rebounding by sending the game to overtime with a putback on a free throw purposefully missed by forward Jake LaRavia with 0.2 seconds remaining. Over the past 2 seasons at Purdue, Eddy averaged 23.8 points, 12.5 rebounds, and 2.1 blocks in 73 games. During the pre-draft process, questions were raised about how his game would translate to the NBA, and while one summer league game isn't an answer, he looked much quicker than his massive 7'3", 299-pound frame would suggest. Things won't be easy for Eddy during the regular season, but his summer league debut was a promising start. Yep, that's right. So I believe Zach Eddy is going to be a force to be reckoned with. And he's with a good team with the Memphis Grizzlies. I mean, think about it. You're paired up with Ja Morant, an ultra-talented, gifted athlete. Then you throw a Zach Eddy, and I believe they have some more pieces as well, too. I don't have their roster in front of me, but they should be able to make a deep playoff run if they stay healthy and play within the confines of the team. That's right. So the Memphis Grizzlies will be a team I think will be to be reckoned with. So don't sleep on the Grizzlies. And even though I said he would probably have it a little bit tougher in the regular season than in the summer league, he's just one of the pieces to this young Grizzlies team that I believe if they stay healthy and Ja Morant keep his nose clean, this team is going to make a deep run in the playoffs in that Western Conference. Think about it. The Wild Wild West, Memphis Grizzlies, Oklahoma City Thunder. You can't rule out the Denver Nuggets. I mean, they're still the Denver Nuggets. I mean, the list just goes on. Oklahoma City Thunder. I mean, I probably already said them, but the West is no slouch. And any one of those teams could be a threat to somebody coming out of the East. Boston Celtics. Well, I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to bring this show to an end. Believe it or not, I'm actually at work. It is actually that slow at work to where I have time to give y'all some great content on a podcast. 25 minutes, so to speak. That's a testament to some good bosses that I have as well, too. So I hope you have enjoyed this short but explosive In the Zone podcast. I will be back with some more for you in the days to come. Let me know what you think. Share your thoughts. It's always good to be in the zone with you, my listeners. Until the next time, take care of yourself and each other. I'll be back with you sooner rather than later. It's In the Zone. Anthony Smith. I'm out.